In today's video, we're gonna look at how to maximize distance out of the power throw. What's up guys? Welcome to Pro Tip Tuesday. My name's John Bowman, and my mission with each Pro Tip video is to teach you concepts of throws training that make the biggest impact on your throws. And remember to go to my website, bowmanthrows.com, to read the full article on how to maximize distance out of the power throw. So when we consider how to throw farther from our power throw or the stand throw, the first thing we want to get in check is our technique. Improving your technique will give you more distance sooner than anything else you could do. When I think of the technique of a power throw, there's four things that we can work on. The first thing to work on is our foot placement. So again, pretend I'm throwing in this direction. It's important that our front leg is back. If I took a line through here, you can see that the toe of my front foot is about the middle of my back foot. Again, what this allows you to do is, as we finish the throw, allows the hips to get all the way around. If your front foot's up here, then your hips block each other and you don't get a full finish. If your foot's way back here, then you're gonna over-rotate, throw out the sector. So again, in order to throw the discus straight, you want that front foot back a few inches from your back foot. The second piece to technique is the wind-up. Wind-up's super duper important. To throw the discus your farthest, you always have to be as long and as big as possible. So when we wind up with the discus, it doesn't have to be complicated, but you have to push that discus out and around you. So if I'm throwing in this direction here, you can see when I wind up, my wind up is big and long. And I'm actually taking the discus and I'm pushing it towards you, towards the camera, away from my body. I'm trying to extend that orbit as wide as possible. A lot of times when we are doing our power throws, we have the discus really narrow like this. That's not gonna help us very much. We'll get more energy on this discus. It'll go farther if we wind up super big. Like that. And again, you want to think like a capital T. Boom, there. And you can see how that is different than winding up like this. This isn't going to help you. Again, push the discus away from your body. The second thing to think about with the wind-up is your posture. Again, you want to have your torso straight up and down and your arms as level as possible. So we want to be in this position, again, rather than something like this. Always want to have your shoulders parallel with the ground and your torso upright. Even if it feels like you can't wind up as far, that's okay, because this leads us to our third point. The next piece of technique that makes you throw, that helps you throw the farthest, is keeping your hip in front of your shoulder. So again, if I'm throwing in this direction out here, I wind up, you can see what we want is this hip to move this way with our shoulder back here. Okay, you can see how, if I move my hip behind my shoulder, see what happens? I break down. This is hip in front, this is hip in back. And until you're aware of that or know better, it's way more comfortable to have your hip broken. So when you wind up, again, you're tall, long arms, you're pushing that discus out in front of you, but you are actively putting your hip under your shoulders. Boom. And now, this is the meat of the technique. The foot placement and the wind up, we do them the way we do so that your hip can lead the throw. I promise, you look at anybody who throws really far, really far. They lead the throw with their hip the whole time. And essentially what that means is you're in this position, you have the discus in your hand and the hip is moving first. And that's where power comes from, because when your hip is ahead of the shoulder, you have the stretch reflex that goes across your whole body. Then your legs work against the ground and launch the discus. The fourth thing to consider when you're looking about technique of your power throw is, and again, it all builds on each other. If you have your foot placement correct, if you have your wind up correct, nice and wide and long, if you're leading the throw with your hip, then that leads to this fourth piece, and that's strike the discus as long and as hard as possible. We want that discus to stay in our hand as long as possible. So again, let's think about this. The longer we're applying force to the ground, the longer that this discus is in our hand, then the more force gets applied to the discus. And we want to be pushing against the ground all the way until here, till the very last second. Then we want the discus to come out of our hands. A lot of us, and this is me included, I'm actually not very good at this. I'm always kind of pulling away and jumping away from the discus. And so something that I work on in my power throws is finishing the movement with my lower body, letting my hip lead the throw and essentially throw the discus, let it come out of my hand as late as possible. Again, we have a tendency to rush the throw and just get it out of our hands. We need to keep it in our hand, keep our feet on the ground, and let go of the discus as late as possible. If you consider those four things, work on your foot placement, make sure that's right, work on your long windup, work on turning your foot and letting your hip lead the throw. Again, think of your hip for the third piece there, hip leading the throw. Think of your hip, your right hip, as going out and around to lead the throw. Again, a lot of us, we end up pushing off of the back leg and go onto the front leg and release here. We want to stay both feet on the ground, hip going this way as long as possible. All right, guys, so that's how to throw farther. That's how to maximize distance out of your power throw. Again, it's by executing your technique, working on the foot placement, working on your wind up, working on having the hip finish the throw, and then working on striking the discus as long as possible, keeping it in your hand, keeping your feet on the ground for, again, as long as possible. Those four things will help you throw farther. I've also put together a full article on how to maximize distance from your power throw. You can see that article on my website. It covers three main pieces, one being technique, which is what we learned about in today's video, two, the use of slam sessions, and then the third piece being the right type of training. What's up, guys? Thanks so much for checking out today's video. If you liked it, if it added value to your throwing, go ahead and smash that like button. And go to my website, bowmanthrows.com, to read the full article on how to maximize distance out of your power throw. You guys are doing great, and I'll see you on the next video.